friends. I said, is your friend a mind reader? And she said, of course not. I said, well, you didn't communicate that to your friend, that you needed this from her. You just had the assumption that that's what people are supposed to do when you share. And she's realized that that's a faulty thought, that not everyone is going to behave in the way that's expected of them, especially when it's a secret and they don't know. So why are we going to do this? Like, why are we going to be assertive? Assertiveness gives a person the courage to act in circumstances before that forces them into communication. So what this means is that, maybe more so for the people who are passive and passive aggressive, these people have what I like to call a gunny sack. Do we all know what a gunny sack is? Like a bag that they carry around, and every time something doesn't go their way or something hasn't been reciprocated, they have a little bit of a resentment and they just put it in that bag and they're going to carry it around for a while. Accommodators are really well known for this. And then the next thing happens, and then another thing goes in the bag until the bag gets full. And then what happens when the bag is full? It's going to burst, right? It's going to overflow. So we want to make sure that we're getting our communication out before the bag gets full. Right? It prevents emotions such as fear or anger from being the motivation for a discussion. Like if you think back to what I said earlier, that if emotions are high, stress is running free in our brains, what kind of a conversation we're going to have if fear or anger or being upset is the reason why we're having the conversation? Where do you think that's going to go? Probably going to go right off into the ditch. Right? Emotions can hinder communication. It's very hard to have a quality conversation with someone who is on the defensive, that feel they're being under attack, especially if your initial opening statement is one of anger or frustration. Doesn't mean you can't be angry or upset. You just have to have a way to manage it with your words and body language and such. And being assertive preserves relationships. We always like to be around, generally, people who are positive and happy and are easy to talk to, and that we know, respect, and listen to what we have to say. And benefits of being assertive is that you can learn to say no. You can actually say no without any fear of judgment or what the other person thinks about you. You can just say no. So how do we use it? So it's important to do this at the right time and with the right people. So you have to identify when to be assertive. You know, if it's just a small issue, you know, it may not have enough personal value to you to be assertive in a moment. It might be some comment that your significant other makes and you're like, I don't really need to respond to this one. It's not a big deal. There's way more value in just letting this one go. Right? Or if you're in a meeting, you know, depending on who's conducting it, they may make some sort of an offhanded comment that they don't even know that they've made. You have to think about, do I confront this person right now in front of a room full of people, or do I just bring it to their office a little bit later and just tell them what your perspective was and maybe how that comment made you feel? Right? So determine how important your response is relative to the situation. Personal versus professional or transitory. So if it's just an interaction maybe with a store clerk and it's a store you're never going to visit again, you know, maybe not. I was just in San Francisco this weekend for a baseball game, and my friend and I went for breakfast, and my breakfast was totally overcooked. It was an omelet, and it was almost brown on both sides. And I just looked at it thinking in that moment, they don't really care. They said they liked it, but they don't really care. Right? So you'll take that nonverbal cue almost every time. The one thing, the caveat to that is, if someone, if you're in a conversation and you say to them, well, you seem really angry, and they may seem angry to you, but if they reply back that, no, I'm just frustrated, right? Then you need to listen to the words, right? Because you've gotten it wrong, which is okay. It's okay to misinterpret someone's display, because you're not inside their head. You can't read their mind. Right? One specific tool for assertive communication is the I statement. Okay, as you can imagine, I statements are statements that convey things about needs, wants, thoughts, feelings, values, beliefs, and so on. So you're speaking from your own perspective. You're not going to speak for another person that's in the conversation. Right? they help you take your ownership in part of the conflict. Right? So when you say, like, I'm feeling upset because of the feedback that I'm getting, let's have more of a conversation as to where this feedback's coming from. Right? No blame. You're not assigning any blame, not pointing any fingers. Right? The important thing is you need to use concise language and that your words are presented in an objective manner. So if you just speak in things that are general, things like, you always do this, this never happens, the other person will automatically go into